welcome to Main Street Matters by Heart on Main Street, the podcast that knows that even the darkest days don't last forever. I'm your host, Patrick Kaiser. So, a lot has happened since our last episode. In that episode, I talked about our trip to Oklahoma, where we donated to a retailer who had lost their store during a tornado. While talking about this, I mentioned that the wind doesn't care where you're located. No area is safe from its destructive force if the wind is strong enough. This turned out to be prophetic, as just days later, Hurricane Helene ravaged large portions of the southeast. I am sure by now you have all seen pictures and videos and heard stories of those affected by this tragedy. While it was predicted to be an intense hurricane, I don't think anyone understood the destructive force that it would bring. The storm itself was 800 miles wide and affected areas that are not usually touched by hurricanes. Many are turning their attention to Asheville, North Carolina, because of the destruction and the publicity that it's getting. It is a town in the mountains, and they never expected to be affected the way that they were by a hurricane. Again, the wind doesn't care. Asheville is getting a lot of attention, but understand that it is because of the town's size and the situation's uniqueness. So many areas are in a similar situation to Asheville, with massive destruction on the town's infrastructure and resources, cut off from the rest of the world except for by air, that these areas are not receiving that same attention. Roads and bridges have been completely wiped out here, making rescue attempts and aid provisions increasingly difficult. There are areas of the whole southeast that are still without power. People are turning to generators to keep electricity on in their homes, but they're now running out of gasoline to power them. Over the last decade or so, we've transitioned into a cashless society, but credit card machines and ATMs are not functioning without power. This is making it incredibly difficult for people to get resources, even if they are available. Hundreds of thousands of people are really without basic necessities. At Heart on Main Street, our focus is independent retailers, and they are hurting right now. Countless businesses have been affected by this hurricane all across the southeast. Right now, most people are in survival mode, but eventually we will turn to recovery and rebuilding. These businesses will need help. Insurance, if they pay out, will only go so far. As a nonprofit, our organization raises money to donate to these type of businesses in order to help them recover after the event, rebuild their stores, and remain a part of their community. Yes, we also focus on education of retailers, and I like to have fun going out to different towns for our Main Street Mondays and encouraging people to shop locally. But the heart of Heart on Main Street is our efforts to help retailers after they've experienced a natural disaster. When locally owned businesses return to an area after something like this, it creates hope. It creates jobs. It creates a sense of normalcy for the community. So if you are able, please consider making a donation to Heart on Main Street's disaster relief efforts for Hurricane Helene. No donation is too small, and 100% of donations go to affected retailers to help the retail owner and their communities. I'll add a link in this show's description that will take you directly to the campaign page. Also, Kathy Cruz, the Savvy Shopkeeper, will be donating 50% of her profits from her retail email bootcamp to Heart on Main Street for the same purpose. I will also include that link, so you can sign up for that class, learn, and know that the money you spent on it is going towards a good cause as well. And if you're in the Edmond, Oklahoma area, the retail store Cinnamon Bears will be donating a portion of their proceeds this week to Heart on Main Street as well, which is absolutely incredible for another retailer to be helping out other retailers. So if you're in the Oklahoma City or Edmond area, I strongly encourage you to shop there while you're shopping local. This week, I didn't really know what to say or how to approach this because I've never been in the shoes of those that are going through this. However, we have worked with retail owners who have. So yesterday I sat down with Anita Cereceda of The Islander in Fort Myers Beach and asked her to share her story and advice for retailers that are going through the most difficult thing imaginable right now. As a note with this interview, my internet kept cutting out while we were talking, so unfortunately there are some gaps where I missed what Anita was saying. I spliced together what I had, so if it seems at some point where it jumps from one topic to another, that is why. But overall, she provides some great lessons that she learned during her darkest time. So here is Anita Cereceda. I am here with Anita Cereceda, a retail owner in Fort Myers Beach, owner of The Islander. And I wanted to talk with you today because you have gone through an experience that many retailers are currently going through. It was almost 2 years, basically to the day, right?
2 years and 1 week. This
2
Saturday
years,
will be
2 years
2 years in
and
a
one
week.
week,
Yep.
where Hurricane Ian hit Fort Myers Beach, and you lost 3 stores and
In my
your home.
house.
Yeah, and so you have the experience that a lot have gone through, but this Friday you are reopening. And so be able to come full circle in that. And want to just talk with you today about tips that you have or advice that you have for those that are where you were 2 years ago. And so first, I guess, walk me through your initial response. Where most retailers
Well,
are
you
right
saw
now.
me. You saw me in my initial phase. You're just dazed because uh, it isn't just the financial loss. It is so emotional. It's so emotional. You feel like you've just been beaten to hell and back. I mean, it is uh, the folks that are dealing with this right now know exactly what I mean. There are no words to describe the feeling. And when people would say to me, I can't imagine what you're going through, my response was, glad you can't imagine it
Yep.
because it's hell.
It's hell.
It was for everyone. And I would say to folks, whether you were a person without a home who basically lived in a grocery store cart, or you were someone who had a home and 3 businesses, you lost everything. And so that everything was relative for people,
Yep.
how the quantitative element of it, but it was still everything.
Everything.
And there's this sort of spinny feeling. I think there was a little period where I wanted to run. I thought, I'm going to Spain. I'm going to go live in this little town with a church and 2 bars, and I'm going to call it a day. That was short-lived because my life is so tangled up in Fort Myers Beach. But um, it, I know this will sound corny, but I felt like if I gave up or um, if I didn't try, uh, I just felt like uh, too many people would fall. Like I needed to quote the card, put my big girl panties on and deal with it. And dealing with it meant a lot of different things on a lot of different levels. But mostly it meant with accepting the financial element of it. Um, Fortunately, having some great people around me who could give me good advice and say, Anita, here's what you can do. And then, as you well know, extraordinary people that I've done business with for 38 years, like Sue Larman and other folks who really gave me the support I needed to be able to put something together. So I've been to a few trade shows now in the last 2 years, and almost without exception, every single vendor who, of course, knew what I had gone through and what so many people had gone through, not just me, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Without exception, folks were willing to work with me, were willing to help, because, of course, their business depends on us. I
Yeah.
mean, it's some point in time we're the food chain, right? So it was just a marvelous feeling of support I got from folks. But I think the first step is deciding for your own self, in your own heart and head, what are you going to do? What's the plan forward? And it has to be something that you fully commit to. Well, you know what? Just as those words are coming out of my mouth, Patrick, I'm thinking, no, you don't have to fully commit. When this thing first hits you, there's no way to commit because you're in a situation you've never been in before in your entire life.
Right.
And so, you know, make your plan in pencil because it's going to change. And when you make it in pencil, don't feel like there's any failure in changing your mind because it's hard. It's very, very hard. I am truly blessed to have the circle of friends and um, family around me that I have because without that, oh, and a great therapist, because let me
Hey,
tell you,
needed. Yeah.
PTSD is a real thing. It
I can
rains
only
and,
imagine. Yeah.
people here on this island panic. Um, so without that, I think I would have been lost. I would have been lost because this is something no one can imagine, gratefully so.
So how long did it take you? I mean, you said you had kind of, I want to run. I want to completely scrap everything. I don't want to do this to actually I do want to rebuild. Or how long?
I call it I want to run my wallowing phase. So
Yeah.
there's the shock of holy cow, what happened? So we couldn't come back onto the island, I think, for, let's see, the hurricane was the 28th. I think it was 4 or 5 days later when residents and business owners could first come back to the island. There was nothing, not all the pictures we had seen on the news, nothing that could
Nothing.
prepare you for
Yeah.
what you saw. Nothing, absolutely nothing. That was kind of a stall on any emotion because I just didn't know how to deal with it. You know, I just didn't know how to deal with it. And I'd say that from the time of the hurricane to, okay, I'm going to over, um, was probably a few months,
Okay.
a few
Yeah.
months, because it was, yeah, it was probably a few months. I
There's
mean,
just
Patrick, well, I think it was a few months just when I met you was
okay.
just kind of the start. Oh, another person so this friend of mine, Renee, who is a sales rep for Tribal, many of you all will know her, your folks that listen to her. She was a sales rep she'd be at the trade shows for Tribal. She called me like short out of this, like maybe 2 weeks after all of this. And she told me she was going to do a fundraiser in her store for me.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just blown away. To this day, when I think of that,
Yeah.
I hope that the folks that are suffering right now will encounter the same kind of kindness that I encountered.
Yeah.
But even with all of that, it's not enough without um, a forthright, concerted effort and decision to go forward.
So yeah, a couple months to process that and
Yeah.
understand where you want to be. And so those that are going through right now, it's totally okay and
Oh,
understandable to say, no, I don't
dazzle.
want to.
You're just frazzled by it. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
there's no
yeah.
word.
And really think about, kind of your own survival right now in the business, thinking about the business later. And
Yeah.
that's okay. Um, you're talking,
Patrick, it's easy enough to talk to your CPA or a financial consultant or something like that. Easy enough to do that and figure out the numbers, right?
yeah.
That part was not the hard part for me, even though the finances of it scare the crap out of me right now. But that wasn't the hard part. The hard part was the emotion of, can I do this again?
Yeah.
I'm 63. I mean, uh, I'm going to start over again. Uh,
But
that is
and
that is a hard decision. That's a
as
hard
we were
decision.
talking before, I mean, you have a lot of great employees, you have a lot of great
I do.
help, you
I
have
do.
so many people that are there that count on you and that you count on. So,
Yep.
you're doing it
Yep.
as a team together.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And I hope folks have the same kind of teams. I'm sure they do, or they wouldn't have been in business. You can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know on Friday, the girls, Cheryl and Anna, were saying, oh, people are going to be so excited for you and whatever. And it's like, you know, Anita, forget it. I'm a tiny, tiny little piece of this. And so will everybody else be. You'll recognize that if you don't have other people around you, I mean, I may stand and open the door and tell everybody, hey, come see my store. But my store has the blood, sweat, and tears of a lot of people, my contractors, my electricians, people who put in the floors, my friends who are coming to clean tomorrow. I mean, come on. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. It's that it takes a village. In this case, it took an island.
Yeah. You had talked about you're working with your vendors and your sales reps. What in the immediate aftermath was your communication with them? What did you what did it look like, you know, in order to kind of let them know what was going on?
Here's what it looked like, Patrick. So I had 3 stores.
Yeah.
We were, we were, it was September. So I was receiving goods to go into
Yeah.
fourth quarter.
Right. Yeah.
I paid for $20,000 worth of merchandise that I never opened the boxes to. So you're in Florida in September, at the end of September, you're in the low end of your money and you're pushing up your inventory. And all of a sudden everything stops, from clothes hangers to it's all gone. It's just like washed away,
It was,
gone.
yeah.
And so what I did was I looked at my bank accounts. I said, okay, I've got X amount of dollars. And I looked at people who I owed and had a friend of mine help me with proportions and percentages. And I said, this is what I owe you. And this is your share of what I've got left.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
what I did. That's what I did. There was one company, and I'm not going to name the company,
Yep. Remain nameless.
but most people would know who they are. One company who really surprised me, and but one company out of hundreds,
Okay. Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So
Most folks
most worked
were
with you.
happy that I had called them, and I would advise people to, as soon as you can, make a plan. Make a plan. There was one company that I said, you know what? I promise you, when I open, I'll pay you the rest of what I owe you when I open.
Yeah.
And they knew what the situation was. But that's from going from being, hey, everything is grand, to hi, I'm sorry, but I just got hit by a hurricane and I've got no money.
Yeah.
Bad, bad.
And were some of, I mean, if you did have shipments incoming, were they able to stop those for you? Did your sales reps communicate that? Were you communicating that to them?
Yes, they were. There were several companies that they did. They did. And, like I said, especially for the Florida vendors, the Florida retailers, right now you're gearing up for that fourth quarter. You can only do what you can do.
Yeah.
If you can make the calls, make them. And if you can't, until those that you can.
I know another aspect of this, and that is maybe underrated, is insurance. And most people think, I have store insurance, and insurance will cover things for me. I know, especially in your case, that this was not true.
Not a single dollar of my loss was covered by insurance because I had wind insurance. And everybody says, well, the water came in by wind. Well, yeah, that was my hope, but not I had not a single dollar of insurance for my stores. None.
And and so yeah, there's obviously then all of that cost on you.
Mm-hmm.
For those that, I mean, so others, just know that, depending on where you are and what type of insurance you have, I mean, it was flood insurance is what they really kind of got
you. Is what they need. You needed flood insurance. And because what I learned I had a great adjuster who said to me, look, Anita, here's the deal. Anything above the water line is covered by wind. If it got wet, it's flood. Now, my problem was that
It was,
what was above the water line got blown down into the water.
oh,
So, yeah, yeah,
okay.
everything was water for us in that claim. Yeah.
So when, I guess, in preparation for, I don't know if it even got this far, but what did you have to present or get ready, get to insurance companies? Um,
I didn't have
okay.
flood insurance, so
Okay.
I
So
couldn't give them anything.
it didn't matter.
But
Right.
ask me if I have it now.
Oh, Anita, do you have flood insurance now?
Yes, sir, I do. Yes, I do. Yes,
So
I
yeah,
do.
I just didn't even know if yeah in the process kind of went through and got documents prepared or inventory numbers and
No, and
estimates
it's just
prepared.
like, I mean, folks will deal with this with their, so, almost everybody will be dealing with the loss of things about their home and their business. It's a double whammy,
Yep.
a terrible double whammy. And so my insurance for my home was okay. That was, everything there was fine. But the processes you have to go through are almost humiliating. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate with some of the insurance folks that I dealt with. I had a wonderful adjuster for my house, but you just have to kind of be patient and um, move through the steps, because it's all a step. There were times where I wished that I could clone myself, because I wanted to say, "Oh, let that Anita
Let
go and
that
deal with
person
this,
handle
because
all.
I don't want to do this." Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's very tedious. It's very time consuming, and it hurts a lot.
So you said there was, you had a lot of people on on your side in supporting you and raising money for you. What other resources that were out there, either federal or state or other things that were out there that you were able to take advantage of?
Um, Patrick, none.
None. Okay.
Well, I say none. That's not true. The state of Florida, Mrs. DeSantis had a fund. I don't know if they'll reinitiate this. Um, but you could apply if you were going to restart your business. You could apply for some money.
Okay.
Um, you know, wasn't I don't even remember right this second what it was, but other than that, the Small Business Association thing, that was not.
What
Here's what I
after
think the
this?
most important thing is: do not lose hope. Don't lose hope if it's I hope I can rebuild my business, or I hope that I can get up tomorrow morning. I hope that I can take a shower. I hope, because these small things are going to be important. Don't give up hope for your business, for yourself. Just don't give up hope.
Love that. Well, Anita, thank you so much. Best of luck on Friday. I know there's going to be a lot of
I'll
emotion
let you know
related to
how it
that.
goes. Thank you,
And,
Patrick.
if, yeah, there's a lot that goes in. So take time for yourself that day.
I will. I will.
And I will be down there soon to see you because I can't wait to see your new store. So,
Patrick, you were one of the silver linings of the hurricane for me.
well, thank you. And I value meeting you and our friendship so much. So thank you so, so very much.
All right. Bye,
All
honey.
right. Take care. Bye. So, as Anita said, recovery is not instantaneous, and you are going to go through a lot of emotions from now until the time that you open up your business again. For Anita, it has taken 2 years to get everything going. Part of that, she does not own her building. Some of you might, and that might help expedite things. She did have lots of issues with insurance. Hopefully, that will not be a issue with you all as well. But it is a long road, but it's a great road. Heart on Main Street is here to support you in whatever capacity that we are able to. And as she said, you have to just keep focusing on the good, keep your hopes up, keep your spirits up, keep looking for that brighter day ahead. There's a community that wants to help, a community that wants to support you, people that are there for you, people that want to see you reopen and be successful again. So as long as you're focusing on that and keeping that as your goal, you will be there. Know that it's okay if you want to run. It's okay if you decide that you don't want to reopen your store again. It's not even reopening, it's completely rebuilding from the ground up. And there's a lot of work that goes into that, and that's okay if you decide that you don't want to do it. But for those that do, we will be here with you. We'll be here for you to help and support. For now, focus on your friends, your family, your own well-being. Make sure you have your basic necessities. Make sure that you're safe. Focus on your business once you get that settled. Contact your insurance companies. Contact your vendors that have provided product for you. Let them know your situation. And here's to a brighter tomorrow. My heart is with you. This episode was written, produced, researched, and edited by me, Patrick Kaiser, with a very special thanks to Anita Cereceda. For more information on Heart on Main Street, you can visit heartonmainstreet.org. Stay safe, shop small, and I'll see you all next week.